Here's what we're building. Whenever I press E on my keyboard, my character enters a hover state, which as you can see, it will be the fly idle right behind me. So following that, whenever I press W, I'll fly forward. And then obviously if I press S, it'll go backwards. Same goes as for A and D, and that confirms and well, that goes over each direction of flying for each of the animation from idle, forward, back, left, and right. It's really not too complicated when I break it down some more into the code. And now that you understand these parts, let's get straight to the script. Now, the best thing about this script is it's actually a local script, which is actually inside starter player, starter character script. And with this local script, which is a fly script, it only has 4 instances for it to work. That being a sound that we called when, a bool value, which is named flying moving, a body gyro, and a body velocity. Once you have those 4 instances, we'll look at the properties. Then since we have body velocity open, we'll take a look at the max force. Obviously it's pretty high because we want to exaggerate how fast they're moving with the velocity. We have the power right at 20,000 and the max force right above 100 million, which is over exaggerating for each of the um, values X, Y, and Z. Now looking at the body gyro, we have the density at 500, max torque at 400,000 for each X, Y, and Z, and the power at 3,000. And obviously for the flying moving, we have the value, faults, and the wind sound. You can find your own wind sound, or when you download this asset, it would be included. But if you feel like changing it, feel free to, no stress. And now let's take a look at the fly script. Starting with services, we have tween service, user input service, and contact action service. The tween service is for the camera and the body velocity, so everything smoothly blends together. User input service is kind of self-explanatory. Whenever the player or yourself types in or press a key, they'll go within that direction, or it'll get registered. And then contact action service is whenever that said function is assigned to that keybind. Now looking at the variables, we have ourselves the body velocity, which is waiting for the script body velocity cloning it. Obviously you don't have to do that, but I did that just cause. And then we get the character, the humanoid, the camera, and the body gyro. Last but not least, we'll make a table for the animation folder and then 2 booleans, well, 2 more values. Current animation is nil and is anim is false. Moving along, we actually make some more variables, which is animation. The hover animation, which is idle, fly animation ID, the forward fly, flying back, flying right, and flying left. And then last but not least, we get the sound, when sound enabled true. We're making it true so later on we can turn it on and off, but this just shows you that it will start working whenever you start flying. Last but not least, we went ahead and make some more animations just to assign for those animation ID. So we got hover, fly, back, right, and left. And last but not least, we assign those animations ID. So making those new instances for those animations, we assign those animation IDs to those animations for hover, fly, right, and back, and left, so on. Now, lastly, we go ahead and make a new variable, last key. Lastly, we have a shift variable, and if you do want a way to fly faster, let's go ahead and try to hit, I don't know, 20 likes. And I'll add that within the script and make a following video part 2 on how to fly even faster with the shift key. Following that, we have possible keys, W, A, S, and D. These are the keys for flying forward, back, and left and right. Obviously, you can change it, but I really don't recommend that because that's like the basic keybinds for moving. Now, we went ahead and made a sound for the character, for the wind sound actually, and we're putting it inside the character's humanoid root part. So wherever the character flies, it's always with them and they hear it within workspace. Next, moving forward, we have the movement action and fly action. This is actually for the context action service, so we can give it a state name and assign it to the function. Now moving forward, we have the body velocity and what is this? BG, the body gyro, sorry. We actually assign that to the character. Now, obviously, you don't have to do that because it's within character scripts, but going back up, if you don't want to clone it, it's already being copied within the character. If you want to just put script.bodygyro, it will do the same thing if you like take away the clone. So same thing, small little script lessons, but just to make it simple, we'll leave the clone there and then keep that within the script. The reason being is because if for every reason the character were to lose the body gyro or body velocity, we know that it's a clone and we can always clone another one and put it within the character. That's why I left it a clone up there, but if you want to use it directly, feel free to do so if you know how to do it. Now, moving forward, we have if when sound equals false. Now, obviously, if it's false, we're going to make the volume 0, and you can obviously just make the sound like stop playing, but here we just made it false and the sound 0, so we can have it forever playing if you want to have it within a loop, but the choice is really up to you. It's not too much of a big deal. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and grab those we're going to grab those animations that we loaded, which is the fly, hover, left and right, and we're going to load it onto the character by the humanoid animator. This allows the character to pre-register those animations that we made and register it beforehand before there's an error to occur, so we don't face those errors, you know? Now we're going to look into our first function and then take it on from there. Okay, so opening the function cam.cframe, we're just going to take a look at the what we're looking at, right? So first, the humanoid move direction, if it does equal vector new dot zero, then we're just going to return it, essentially saying if the humanoid move direction, if the character doesn't move at all, then just return, and it's basically just going to say like 0. That's what we're returning. Now next, we have cam.cframe, and here we're actually going to get the camera C-frame and then adding the new C-frame we want to adjust to it. Now, cam C-frame times, which is the star, C-frame.new, we're going to first get the camera's position, which is its vector 3, and then we're going to get its look vector. So camera C-frame dot position plus a new vector 3, which is camera C-frame X, leaving the Y alone, and then camera C-frame look vector dot Z. Then we're going to convert it into the object space, which is the workspace itself, essentially, right? Next, we're going to get the humanoid move direction, so we know exactly where to adjust to, get that position, and then subtract the camera C-frame position. I know that's like very confusing in a sense, but trust me, it works. And if you want a deeper dive in C-frame, comment down below you'd like to learn more about C-frames, and I wouldn't mind making a video about that. Next, we have if cam C-frame equals vector3.new, then return that cam C-frame, right? Because if it's not what we're making, then, oh, sorry, if it is what we're making and it's something new, then we're just going to return it. Now, once all said and done, we're going to convert that into a full unit, the cam C-frame, which is just basically just a single number, right? And then just return that. Now, moving forward, we're going to make a few more variables. I know this is kind of inconvenient, but at the time I was just doing that because I realized I needed these variables down here, which I could move back up, but put too deep in the script, right? So we're going to get the fly moving variable, which is the boolean variable down here, right? So local fly moving equals script dot fly moving. And then we're going to do another few more variables. Local flying key equals nil, local flying equals false, and local is flying equals false. These are just checking if the character is in a flying state and if the character ever pressed the flying key. Now, within the next function, fly, moving, change, connect, we're going to go ahead and check whenever the character is moving while they're flying. So we have this argument, which is P1, which is a Boolean, right? If P1 equals true, then we're going to tween the camera and giving it its own little intro. If you don't know anything about tween service, also comment down below you would like to learn about tweens. I wouldn't mind making a video about that. But essentially, we're making it a new tween service, giving it its own adjust values, and then playing it immediately right after. And obviously, once we do that, we're going to make sure that the hovering isn't playing. So we make sure hovering is stopped, right? And then the sound one, the wind sound is playing. Now, if last key, then last key equals toString last key, right? I know that's like funny, but we're just essentially checking what was the last key that they pressed. As you can see, looking down here, we're stopping all said animations from forward, back, left, and right, and then we're going to update the last key that they pressed. So if last key was W, S, A, and D, then we're obviously going to play that said flying animation. Now, moving forward, we have P1 equals false, right? If P1 ever equals false, like they stop flying, then we go back to tween service, give it its value for the camera, so it smoothly play back to its original field view and play it right there. Now, when they stop flying, we don't want them to just fly anymore. Obviously, they're back on the ground, so we made all the animations stop flying, the sound stop, and there we go, they're back to hovering. You know what I mean? Now, moving forward to the next function, we have fly check. Now, if flying equals false, then flying equals true. So if you were to press E on your keyboard or whatever key that you assign it to, that said character will start to fly. So if character find first child humanoid root part, which would always be true, then make sure the hovering animation plays. We're going to make sure the set state for all said running, climbing, falling, and free falling is false. Because whenever the character starts flying, these will start to run, especially free fall and falling down, because the character is essentially hovering. And we don't want that to happen. We actually have control of what the said character is doing because they want to fly. Now, that being said, we also have the running volume to 0 because I'm pretty sure some of y'all don't know how to stop that said Roblox sound system. So I made sure to put that in there to just make a convenience, you know? And then we made humanoid chase state 6. If you know anything about scripting, I'm gonna let y'all take a deep dive into that. Let me know if you know what that is and comment down below if you figured it out. Now moving forward, we have body velocity, and we're gonna have that clone body velocity into the character root part and the body gyro into the character root part as well. That essentially allows the player to start flying in whatever direction they're moving in. The body gyro and body velocity is taking care of the floating and the direction on which they want to head towards. Else, if they're not flying, then obviously we're putting them back on the ground and making all the states go back to normal, and as well as a running volume. This goes for the human chain state as well, and we're actually bumping it up to 8. I'll let y'all do a deep dive what that even means. It's cool. If you don't, no stress. And for the body velocity dot parent, we're just going to throw it into the character, and that goes for the body gyro. Obviously, this will just move it to the character, and then if you go back to the flying state, we'll move it back to the human root part. So don't worry as if you're cloning it over and over again. This is just a one-time clone. And this goes for the hovering and flying forward to just stop playing. Even though we have it stop playing in the fly change, we're going to make sure just for safety and security that it stops playing, because you don't want the character back on the ground and then a different animation is playing and overriding this. That's just stressful to deal with. Now, last but not least, if flying does equal true, then local key equals table find possible keys of the assigned keys that you have, and then we're going to do a toString with the last key that we have. Now, if the key that you press on your keyboard, if it's within one of the possible keys of moving forward, left, and right, then we'll update the last key, and that's when the other function goes ahead and handle its part for the animation. Okay, here we have a function called flying called, right? And this function plays a very important role because it's assigned to the contact action service. And the contact action service is obviously being assigned to what is being done whenever the player does said keybind to play a certain function. So we have these arguments, action name, input state, and an input object. Open up this function, we have the last key, which is input object.keycode, and obviously the input object is just getting that key code that's pressed. Now, if action name equals flying action, which is what we sign above, then if input state, right, is using input begin, so whenever they just press that key, sorry, as soon as they press that key on the keyboard, we're going to move forward and making sure that it's like the start of it. Now, if flying equals false, then is flying is true. We're making it true and then doing a flying check, making sure the character can fly within whatever direction they press. Now else, if it equals true, we want it false, so the character isn't flying no more, and everything else falls in place because we have each function assigned doing an important role with this contact action service. Now down here, we have user input begin, and if body gyro, if GP, right, which is game process. That means if the player is typing within chat, then we're just going to return because obviously they're not trying to fly, they're just talking to other people. But if they're not typing in chat, then we're going to check if flying equals true. If they are flying, then last key equals input.keycode. We're just updating the key code through using input, so contact action service and everything else can play its role properly. This is just a safety check. If you don't want this and you know how to adjust and make it more compatible or compact with your code, then feel free to do so. But I did this for the beginner scripters because sometimes it can be a bit confusing with what's the difference between using input service and contact actions. Last but not least, we go ahead and call contact action service and bind that action. So we bind the flying action and we bind that to the function called flying called, which we have right above. We make it false, so there's nothing on the touchscreen. So this is just for PC. But if you do and you know how to make it for mobile players, you can always do true and do what you need to do for making their own little keybind, right? Last but not least, here we have the key code to E. So whenever the player or yourself press E on your keyboard, you start to fly. Now, if you want to change it, it's simple. You can just make E into F or even I. It doesn't really matter. We'll change to F and retest it. And at the bottom of the script, we have run service. Now, the run service obviously handles the camera and whatever else we have in here. Let's take a look. So if script.parent equals character, which it should be, then if flying equals true, which the character's flying, then we change their state. Now the BG body gyro dot CFrame equals game dot workspace dot camera dot CFrame. Now if cam CFrame equals vector new, like if it's a whole new vector, right? If it's just 0 all across the board, then we're making the fly moving dot value equals false. So they're essentially like not flying, so we don't have to change the camera C-frame. Else, if it is moving, then we change flying moving value, and obviously that will play its role with the sound and so forth. Last but not least, the tween service gets called one more time. We create it with the body velocity and assign its values for the tween info and the velocity for the camera, and then we play it. That's it. This is just for the body velocity, tweening it for the player to move around the map. Now, if we go ahead and test it, if I press F on my keyboard, it works. Now, with that being said, as you can see, the system works, and there's plenty of ways to improve upon it. You can add a stamina so the player can't fly forever. You can add a boost button that we mentioned before earlier in the script in this video, left shift. If you still want that, I'll make a part two. Just comment down below. You want a shift button included. You can add a takeoff and landing animations, add particles, motion trackers, camera shakes, transformation requirement. You can go crazy with a simple system like this and make like a superhero game, or even have an anime game where people are flying across the map and having fun in the sky. Now, what I really want to get into is, although I'm making this system open source, I don't want you to just copy with what I made. I want you to take it, understand it, and make it into something better. Because I didn't make it free just to make it free. I made it free for you to have a stepping stone and breaking it down so you have a better understanding of scripting. Now, for those of you who wish to have this within your game, once you join the Discord and link description, you'll go ahead, verify, and within bulletin category, you go down to free source, and then you'll see it within the free anime flying. Go ahead and download the flying system RBX and drag it and drop it into your game. And enjoy. Go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. It will really support and help me out. Since the system's free, subscribing is free. And since you're down there, go ahead and click the like button if you enjoyed the video. If not, comment down below what you didn't like and I'll just improve. I take constructive criticism. Why not? Yeah. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.